Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2012 Acura TSX Sport Wagon. Up front is a 2.4 liter inline 4, and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video here today because these are pretty hard to find. They didn't sell a whole lot of them here in America, and we'll talk about that bit in a second, but they didn't sell a whole lot of them post-2000. Wagons don't really sell well in the States, but I think this is an incredibly interesting car. It's an incredibly interesting wagon. I think it looks good, and there's a lot to love. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 2.4 liter inline 4 under the hood, better known as the K24. Well, I like it a lot. The K24 engine is fantastic, and we just drove it recently here on the channel in a Honda Element, and it's great in that too. It makes 201 horsepower, it's dual overhead cam, and I enjoy it. However, the regular TSX could be optioned with a V6, but for the wagon, we no longer got that. Like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Again, the only option here for the wagons. The sedans you could find in manual in this era, but we didn't get manual wagons, and that's okay. I like the 5-speed. It's doing a good enough job, and I don't have any complaints. Last but not least about the drivetrain, it is front-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the Acura TSX Sport Wagon? Well, in all honesty, it doesn't drive any different than the standard TSX. You just have a lot more room for lovin'. Acura has always had good suspension, good steering feel, good throttle response, and same with their Honda counterparts. So, nothing really new or too crazy here. It drives like a very nice Acura or Honda, and that's what I came to know. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and tachometer, and off to the right is my speedometer and fuel. On the steering wheel, we have a lot going on here with our volume, channel, mode, and phone options to the left, and then our cruise control and information buttons off to the right. We also have paddle shifters around the back of the steering wheel in case there weren't enough buttons for you already. And off to the left, we do have a climate control vent and our traction control off with a little cubby down at the very bottom. Moving out of the door, we have power mirrors, memory seats, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we have an infotainment screen, also with navigation, and you do get a standard backup camera. Very nice to see that 6 years before they were legally required in 2018. And then we have our radio controls. So we get AM and FM, XM radio, and all of your buttons right here. This era, 2012, was kind of peak button before everything went to touchscreens several years following, so kind of interesting to see that. Down below, we have our climate controls. We do get dual zone climate, which is fantastic to see, and we have heated mirrors. Again, another really nice feature. And then we have our CD player. Love to see that. Cigarette lighter and not an ashtray. Shifter, heated seat buttons. Love that on a cold day like today. Handbrake and cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the TSX Sport Wagon, and unfortunately it fails, although I can't say that I'm super surprised. Most Acuras fail anyway, so par for the course. Then we have a little center console and the seats. The seats are memory, heated, and power, of course, which are all really, really fantastic, and I've been pretty comfortable in them. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the Acura TSX Sport Wagon, and a couple of things to note. First of all, sitting normally, my head's not hitting the ceiling, my knees aren't hitting the seat in front of me. I have a pretty good amount of space, which I wasn't fully expecting. A lot of people think, oh, when you buy a wagon, they're gonna have great back seats. It's not always the case, especially Subarus from the mid-2000s have dreadful back seats. What you really want is the space behind us that we'll get to in a second. So the back seat isn't always guaranteed, but it is here in the TSX Sport Wagon. We do have 2 climate control vents down there as well. We get a center console with pop-down cup holders, but that's pretty much it. Grab handle, light on this foggy Sunday morning. That's kind of nice to see. But now let's hop into the back and see where all that wagonness actually comes into play. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you all came here for. Button in there and pull it up. And this is the rear cargo space of the TSX Sport Wagon. Nothing really too crazy. We do have our ELS surround sound system. We have some tie downs, but look at all that vertical space. Absolutely love that. And we can pull this down, and we do get a power outlet behind this. Kind of weird that they hid it in a side compartment. Down here, we can pull this up for more cubby space even down here. So this is the big selling point. This is why people like the TSX Sport Wagon, because you get so much added space around the back. The trunk of the standard TSX doesn't even hold a candle or hold a light. I forget the saying. Hold a source of heat and light to the back of the TSX Sport Wagon. That is lovely to see. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is one of the best parts of the TSX Sport Wagon is the way that it looks. It's a wagon. I love it. I love that long roof line. Now, of course, these are aftermarket wheels, but getting beyond that, I love the long roof line. I love the look of the front end. I think it just looks so much better than the sedan. And I've always felt this way. 9 times out of 10, the wagon versions just look cooler to me than their sedan or coupe counterparts. So I really, really love that look in the TSX. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a TSX Sport Wagon finally here on the channel? Because I have tried to find one for years and years and years to no avail, but we put that to bed today. A couple of things stick out immediately. First of all, it is very comfortable, it's nice and has good performance, and I enjoy driving it. I think the interior has held together pretty well for the last 13 years, definitely like that. And I like that they offered this. They made about 10,000 of them, I think just a touch over 10,000 for the US market, and they're going away each and every day, or going away more and more, I should say. And that's a shame. This car has an interesting story as well, because in reality, as I'm sure some people have picked up by this point, this is a Honda Accord wagon from overseas. Over in Europe and Japan, this was sold as just the Accord wagon. However, when they brought it here to the United States, they A, weren't bringing a whole lot of them, and B, they already had the great selling Accord. So what they ended up doing was switching it to the Acura nameplate so they could justify charging a little bit more money to kind of cover their import taxes and fees and things like that. And you'll notice, if you look up any pictures of the Honda Accord wagon from overseas, this is literally it. And if you look at the passenger side door, it actually has where a trunk release would be if it were right-hand drive. They didn't even remove that. They're like, no one will notice. It's fine. But I don't mind, because this is a wagon, and we don't get a whole lot of wagons here in the United States. After the year 2000, the Subaru Outback seems to be the only vehicle that can sell well here in the States as a wagon. Now, back in the 90s, 80s, and 70s, we used to love wagons with our Buick Roadmasters and Mercury Colony Parks. But for some reason, we have fallen out of love, and we now favor SUVs. So these just don't sell well. If you're gonna buy a car, especially at this price, this was mid $35,000 post-recession, which was a lot to spend on a wagon. For the same money, you could have gotten an SUV, which in theory has more space, has more ground clearance, and was better. Again, I say in theory because the dimensions don't really quite meet up, but it's all about public perception. These cars are very cool to me and you who's watching this. You're probably a car enthusiast as well. But to a mom or dad, a family of 3, they want that SUV. And so these wagons don't sell all that well. And yet again, I get to experience a vehicle that was robbed from us. A fantastic car that was good in nearly every regard. And unfortunately, I have the displeasure of changing words in this video from is to was. This car was good. This car was fantastic. And that's all in the past tense. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Matthew for letting me borrow his TSX Sport Wagon. What an awesome, awesome experience of a car you just don't see much of anymore. Matthew's been wonderful to work with. We have filmed a couple of his vehicles here today, and I look forward to working with him again in the future. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.